Okay, sure.
There is still.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We can start now.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me see. Okay.
So it start with me or Bu Muria?
You.
Oh, me. Okay. Okay, baiklah. All right, let me start. Hi everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon to our beloved student Communication Studies University Muhammadiyah Jakarta, and of course the Chief of International Program of Communication Studies UMY, Dr. Muria Enda, and then also the distinguished guest lecturer, the Violet B. Valdez, PhD from Department Communication, Ateneo De Manila University, Philippines. Hi everyone, and welcome to General Lecture with the title Click Wisely, Critically, Creatively, Media and Information Literacy in a Changing World. So my name is Frisky Nurnisha, and today I will be your moderator for this lecture. Today we will discuss about the media and information literacy in the changing world. As we know, after the COVID-19 pandemic, we always connected to our laptop and our smartphone, and this pandemic brought into sharp relief in reality that we live in a media saturated society. So media and all form of information and communication technology are omnipresent, and it shapes what goes on in our everyday activities, such as like the way we interact and communicate with friends and family, the way we learn, the way we shop, and for almost of our basic daily activities. So we are lucky today because we have Violet B. Valdez, PhD, who will share her precious thought to us. So before we start this class, I would like to inform you about her and her expertise. So Dr. Violet B. Valdez, she is the Executive Director from Ateneo Center for Asian Studies. She also the Associate Professor, Department of Communication, Ateneo De Manila University, Philippines. She got She got two master's degree. One is from University of Philippines and another in Freie Universität Berlin. Then she continued her doctorate degree in Freie Universität Berlin too. She also has a lot of experience, like publishing books, articles, journals, be in editorial board, and many more. So, all right, without further ado, we will give a pin screen to our one and only the guest lecturer for this class. Bung Ria, you want to give speech first before we start to Dr. Violet? Or we just go through Dr. Violet?
Okay, just 1 minute
All right.
opening remark. Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much to Dr. Valdez for the opportunity to give speech to us, and also because the topic of the discussion is really interesting and really relate to our everyday life experience to the media. So thank you very much, and I'm waiting for your new insight for me and to all of us. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Murianda, for our warm welcoming to us. And then, so everyone, please welcome Violet B. Valdez, PhD.
Okay. My turn. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Miria, and thank you very much, Ibu Shri. Okay, so I know a very little Bahasa, so I might use it every now and then, but do correct me if it's wrong. Okay, so let me see. I'm so pleased to be here. I am grateful to Ibu, to Dr. Maria Enda for inviting me to be with you today. And it's great that this is happening, because it's the pandemic and, we cannot travel. I've not traveled outside the Philippines since 2020, right? And that's not usual for me. I'm usually all over the place to be able to be in touch with you now, even virtually. Okay, so let me begin. Thank you, Ibu Fritzky, for the kind introduction. Yeah, and then okay, good. So may I share my screen? Yeah. Oh, okay. Share. Okay. Does everyone see it? It's okay. Okay, very good. So our topic today has to do with clicking wisely, critically, and creatively. So it has to do with learning to be literate media and information users. Okay, so let me see. Before we begin, just okay. I wrote this. It's not my. I just want to greet everyone in good afternoon or salamat siang in your language. So hello to everyone. Hello from my university, Ateneo De Manila University. But actually, I'm not there now. You know, we're not teaching on campus yet. I am actually off campus. So you see I have a different background. To be truthful, I'm actually in a resort. I'm actually in a beach resort. So this is like their clubhouse, and they gave me this room so I can be with you today. That's what's good actually with these arrangements as well. You can work while doing the things that you love in life. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm looking forward to this. I'm privileged to be with you today. Now, some guidelines for interactivity. So I hope this session will be interactive. Now, during the talk, I hope you will use the chat box for comments. In other words, I think you will not be unmuted. Everyone will be muted. So if there are comments, please use the chat box. And then Ibu Fritzky has so kindly agreed to read the chat box for me, so I don't have to go to and fro, stop sharing to read it. And then after the talk, please use the chat box if you want to write your comments also or questions. So you can use it during the talk or after the talk. And then but I don't know if you allow this. They can unmute themselves after the talk, so they can raise their hands, wait to be called, and then unmute yourself. Is that correct, Ibu Fritzky? Okay, good. So today is the first of two lectures on the broad topic of literacy. At the end of these two sessions, we hope you have learned some lessons that will enable you to not only click left and right, that always be clicking, sending, forwarding text and so on, but to think twice before clicking, think twice before sending a message, before forwarding a TikTok video and so on. All right. So the topics that we will take up are media and information in our present day life. We will talk also about what is media, what is legacy media, and what is new media. We will talk about, there are all kinds of media right now. So, but we will talk about the key characteristics, the most important characteristics, that are common to all media. And then we will discuss literacy. I'm sure you've learned about literacy. We're all literate. That's why we can read and write and do simple and do mathematical or arithmetic operations. But we will talk about old literacies and new literacies. And then that should lead us to our discussion on media literacy. Okay, so there. Now let's talk about media in our present day reality. Do you remember where you were when the COVID-19 pandemic started? That was about almost 2 years ago. As for me, I was actually in Jakarta at the time when it started. In January, I was actually in Myanmar, and then in March, I was in Georgia, and I had a beautiful time there. So visiting your universities, including your university. I was supposed to leave end of March, but I had to go home. I visited but first was able to visit your university, and that was really lovely. I had a chance to get to know your beautiful campus and meet your distinguished teachers. Met Ibu Merienda, and then met also Dr. Fadia and so on, and then get to know what you're doing there. Lovely time. From Georgia, I was supposed to go to Semarang, for Diponegoro, but that did not happen. Things were getting serious in Manila. As more people were getting sick of the virus, And so my family was panicking. They insisted that I go home. So I went home. I went back to Manila on March 13, arrived in my country March 14, and lockdown in the Philippines started on March 15. Our school, Ateneo, was locked down beginning March 15. Here in Indonesia, schools nationwide were closed by April 24, if I'm right. And you started reopening in September after 18 months, no, if that's correct. In the Philippines, our schools have also started to reopen in September. At my university, we will reopen only next February 2022, but only for seniors. Not everyone will be allowed on campus. It will be experimental. So the freshmen, the sophomores are crying, okay, because they want to go back to campus, no? But they cannot go back yet. Now, yeah. So right now we're busy preparing the campus for in-person sessions. But what are we saying? What am I saying with this story? The pandemic was a game changer. No, this is to say that the global spread of the coronavirus changed many of the ways we used to do things. No? So that, like Ibu Fritsky was saying earlier, there's need for social distancing to protect ourselves from the virus, and so for that we had to say self-isolate. Yeah, we voluntarily isolate ourselves. We don't do that. We used to do that only for prisoners. Right? So we had to kind of imprison ourselves. So we had to go into our homes in self-isolation. As we isolated ourselves, we became more than ever dependent on media and information. Many of the key activities of daily life became digitized. Commerce, government, religion, entertainment and leisure, social relationships, and of course, education. To be able to do our day-to-day activities, we turn to our cell phones, and if possible, if we're fortunate enough, because many are not, right? In my country as well. If we're fortunate, we have a computer fitted with the software that connects us to our friends, our classes, to live streaming, to buy food, and so on, to watch the Olympics and so on. But of course, not everyone has cell phones and computers. Not everyone has the necessary software. Not everyone has access to Zoom. Not everyone knows how to run computers. In any case, the pandemic made us realize ever more that we live in a media-dependent, media-saturated society. Media and all forms of information and communication technologies are omnipresent. They're all over the place, and we deal with them from the time we wake up. Many of us, I do that also, many of us use our cell phones as alarm clocks, for instance. That's media. The media shape what goes on in our lives, the way we interact with family and friends, the way we learn, access government services, help others, the way we shop, the way we enjoy music and the like. Yet most of us hardly take a minute to reflect on media and information. We hardly question or examine the media. Many of us simply forward emails, no? Or simply forward TikTok videos and and so on. And so so this is what we will do in today's session and the next one next week. We will talk about and look into media and information. We'll talk about the skills, knowledge, and values that are needed to deal with them for our good and for the good of our communities. That is, we will talk about media and information literacy, or to abbreviate it, it's called also MIL. At the end of these sessions, we hope you're able to explain the basic principles of media, to explain the concepts of media literacy and information literacy, and also to explain the fusion of this into bigger concepts of media and information literacy. We also hope that you'll be able to practice the principles and concepts that you learn here so that you'll be able to, so that you will always remember to click wisely, critically, and creatively. You notice that media and information literacy is actually a fusion of two things. You have media literacy and you have information literacy. We'll take these up one by one. Today in this session, we will focus on media literacy. Let's begin by defining media. I'm sure you know what media is. So this will be like a review. Common sense usage, media is simply the plural of medium. But media is used both in the plural and the singular sense. So sometimes you say media are, sometimes you also say media is. No, so you don't bother about it. Medium or media, they refer to the instrument, means, substance, or institutions which carry information which transmit information and through which we send and receive information. As such, medium is something that is used when people want to communicate with others indirectly rather than in person or face to face. When a medium is used to communicate, mediated communication is taking place. So remember that medium mediated communication. On the basis of the technology that is used, media fall into several groups. There is print media, such as books and newspapers. There is broadcast media, such as television and radio. These are now called old, traditional, or legacy media. We usually use the word legacy media, but we also use the word traditional media. With the recent innovations in information and communication technology, or ICT, new forms of media have arisen. These are referred to as the new media. The new media are interactive forms of communication that use the internet. Among these are ebooks, online news sites, podcasts, blogs, social networks, text messaging, wikis, virtual worlds, other computer-aided web-based communication formats. Social media is a subset of the new media. And then you have film and recorded music. These are also media. Film is a true mass medium in the sense that it reaches a large part of the population. Recorded music is also considered a mass medium. Consider how the replay of music dominates much of radio content and also the use of mobile phones. So many of us are listening to music through our phones. Actually, many of us are also watching movies now to our phones. Each medium is the basis of a giant industry, which is served by other industries such as advertising and public relations. Advertising and public relations support the media. Let's pause a bit and summarize what we have said so far. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
So what is media anyway?
Media?
Media refer to various channels of communication between a person or persons and their intended audience. Television, radio, newspapers, and the internet are different types of media. One of the oldest forms of media is print. Thanks to ever-changing technology, our exposure to media is almost non-stop. Media shapes our perception of what is real. It surrounds us in the forms of billboards, signage, and even the clothes you wear. We have radios, televisions, computers, and smartphones. We have the internet, online video channels, and all sorts of social media. So stop and look around. Media is everywhere, and it's not going away anytime soon. Learn about it, understand it, and hey, be media smart. Imagine a typical day in your life and identify all the different kinds of media that are present.
Okay, so that's actually food for thought, right? So imagine all the media that's all around us. No? And it's also an invitation to be critical of them. Now, I hope you're still following, but let's check if everyone's still following. So I ask you to do this. Think of a typical day in your life. Identify the first media that you use to begin your day. Write that in the chat box. Now, okay, can we have that? Can we have answers? And then Ibu will read them for us, okay?
All right, guys, please answer your question through the chat box from the question from the Dr. Valdez. The typical day in your life, and then the first media you use when you begin your day. Bangun tidur, after you wake up, your alarm is ringing, and then the first media that you use, what is it?
Yeah, just one.
No one answer yet.
It'll be very interesting to find out what is the first media that you use when you wake up. I mean, I use the cell phone.
You use the cell phone. Yes.
I use it as
Yeah. Dr. Muriana also said smartphone.
okay. Yeah. What else? Answers?
Smartphone. Okay. Kalaza answers is smartphone also.
Does anyone read the newspaper?
No one.
Does anyone watch television?
No
Almost.
one.
Oh, see, yeah, that's very
Yeah,
interesting.
smartphone.
Okay.
Smartphone.
You can conduct a survey and find out that smartphone is very pervasive, right? And it occupies us when we wake up, because everything is there, right? Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Yeah. How many answers did you get, Ibu Fritsky? You have at least 10 or so?
Four answer, and all of them say it's smartphone.
Okay, so I hope the others are not sleeping. Okay, good. So there. Thank you for answers. Now let's move on. I'm sure everyone's there. It's just that you know how it is with Asians. They are shy, right? That's also with our students. Okay, good. Thank you so much, Ibu Fitsky, and thanks so much for those who answered. Okay. So notice that the media have been growing and changing through the years. At first, we only had the printing press, then came television, and then in recent decades, ICT, information and communication technologies, have given birth to the internet and so on. These days, we speak of personal media, virtual words. We also have AI, or artificial intelligence. We also have the IoTs, or the Internet of Things, and so on. New media continues to evolve as a result of innovations in ICTs. In the wake of the fast pace of changes in digital technology, it is increasingly difficult to define what is meant by media, because there are more and more media being invented, so to speak, right? But there is, for all these media, there is a set of major characteristics that apply to all media products at any time in history. So there are three common features of media. First, the media are expensive to produce. Various resources, such as technology, human resources, such as journalists, distribution systems, for instance, are needed to create media products. Because media products are expensive to produce, they are usually produced by large business organizations. Usually, these are media conglomerates that resulted from the merger of separate and diverse companies. Data from 2012 shows that in Indonesia, there are 12 major media groups. The three largest are the MNC Group, the Jawa Post Group, and the Kompas Gram Media Group. The MNC Group is quite large, I think it's at the top of the largest among these groups. Now this table shows how wide, how broad the range, the coverage of these media groups are. So there are 12 of this in this table, but the three top are this: MNC, Jawa Post Group, Kelom, and Compass. Yeah, so you're probably aware of this as well. Now, my data comes from 2012, so it can happen that between then and now, and because of the pandemic, there have been a lot of changes, and because also of the changes in information technology and communication technology. Now, so if you're familiar with this, then if you are familiar with changes, then it'll be nice if you could help us update our my knowledge. Okay, so there. So to recall, the media are expensive to produce, and so those who produce media are usually large media organizations. The films that get to you, the recordings that we listen to, and so on, these are produced by large media organizations. Secondly, media are controlled or regulated by state or non-state. Media are regulated. Media are typically subject to some control by state or non-state authorities, such as professional associations and business entities. In some countries, there is total control of the media, such as in North Korea. In Southeast Asia, most countries regulate the media through licensing laws, which allow the government to suspend or terminate a media. There are also libel laws or defamation laws. There are also censorship laws, and so on. While media freedom from government control is constrained by a range of repressive laws, the main threats to media independence arise not from the government, but from the ownership structures and commercial orientations of media companies. That is to say that media are businesses, because media is expensive to produce, right? Media conglomerates, media firms operate with profits in mind. Furthermore, many owners, they treat their media outlets, when they own a media, they treat them as tools to promote their own businesses and political interests. Observers say that this tendency is particularly serious in Indonesia, where some major media outlets are turned into campaign tools during the election season. But the situation is also similar in my country and many other countries. Third, the media use sophisticated technology, information, innovations, and now innovations in ICT shape the media. ICT innovations have enabled people like us to take part in media processes, not only as audiences, but also as producers of content. This content is referred to as user-generated content, UGC. A most important technology-based medium is the internet. It is a technology of extraordinary transformative power. The internet has opened up new opportunities for participation. So we're no longer just audiences. We're also, we have many of us are bloggers. Many of us produce digital videos or whatever. We have also become producers of media. So the internet has opened up new opportunities for participation in many aspects of social life, including politics. The internet is a force for good as well as evil. We know that the internet has given opportunity for new ways of manipulating the way people think and make decisions. It's a place where powerful interests mobilize attacks on their opponents and where cyber armies flood the public with disinformation and propaganda. I'm sure you know, and they experienced that as well as Indonesia during the pandemic. At the start of the pandemic, we were flooded with a lot of disinformation. That continues still now with the vaccines. Now, at the start, it has to do with how to cure, how to protect us from coronavirus. Now there's a lot of disinformation about vaccinations. A smart media user always bears in mind these three characteristics of the media. These are important in understanding how the media work. They guide us in the use of the media in an intelligent, critical, and creative way. Now, think of all the information that you can obtain from the media these days. Your lessons, live coverage, tips about how to cook, how to prepare gado-gado, and so on. Yeah. So all of this. You can get all kinds of information from the media. Moreover, you can also get dictionaries. You can also monitor your sleeping time and so on. You name it, the media has it. As media technologies become the carriers of all sorts of information that are important to us, we have become more aware that media users should possess the skills needed to be able to use the media in productive ways or in good ways. Media users should possess the skills that will help them use the media to develop their potentials as human beings and achieve their goals in life. These media skills that we need to be able to use the media productively, these media skills are a form of literacy. Okay, let's backtrack and define literacy. Okay, so literacy is usually referred to three core or basic skills: the ability to read, the ability to write, and perform simple arithmetic tasks. These three basic literacies are now referred to as print literacies. This is to say that they were essential to a print-oriented society. That was when we only had newspapers, no television, and so on. In the print-oriented society, most information was authored, recorded, published, disseminated, and communicated using the print media. So these are the kinds of literacies or skills that we needed to be able to read newspapers at the time, or books. We needed to read, we needed to write, right? But in the present day electronic multimedia society, we need more than the abilities to read, the ability to write and compute. Literacies. Why? Because we live in a media-saturated world and an information-saturated world. Imagine all the information from websites, blog sites, magazines, books, television channels, Twitter messages, Facebook posts, and other media that are constantly generated. To cite an example, a Google search for information about mass media yields about, 1 trillion results in 0.60 seconds. Now you narrow down your search, right? You search for the subject, mass media in Asia, that yields about 627 million results in 0.59 seconds. You search for social media in Indonesia, that's even a lot more. That's 2.28 billion results in 0.68 seconds. If you're writing a class report on social media in Indonesia, how do you know, sorry about that. Anyway, how do you know which source to use among the 2 billion sources available to you? Certainly you want the most credible, updated, and well-written information for your report. How do you decide which information is the most credible? When you are constantly offering us millions of sources of messages for any one topic, you have to decide which source or which message to choose. You have to make a selection, and a good one. Obviously, it takes more than reading, more than writing and computing or numeracy to make a good selection. Some information sources may be more credible than others. Some may be just selling outright lies, or falsehoods. Others may have hidden motives or may be misleading. And so, if you do not know how to deal with an overload of messages, you might be misled into doing things that could harm us, or things that do not help us achieve our objectives in life, or simply our objectives for searching a particular information. Like we want to find out what is a good antidote, how's the best way to protect us from coronavirus, and then you get misled, because you are told about all kinds of quack methods. Print literacies are inadequate in the present day modern electronic multimedia society. So this is what we're saying, right? Print literacies are not enough. We need new literacies in a new media environment powered by information and communication technology. The new literacies we need are those that a person needs to be able to understand media messages, how they are produced, why they are produced in certain ways, their impact on us, how to use media well, how to take part in their creation or production in a responsible, intelligent way. In light of the need for these skills, policymakers and educators have argued that there is a need to restructure education so that subjects in media literacy can be required subjects. These subjects will enable students to understand media messages well. The nature of, they will also understand the nature and effects of media and to use them as avenues for expression. UNESCO has recommended that the subject media and information literacy should be taught in senior high school and also in the university level. Media literacy, Media literacy refers to the knowledge, skills, and values that enables a person to critically understand and actively participate in media. With media literacy skills, we are able to interpret and make informed judgments as consumers of media. We also learn skills to become producers of media. Media literacy is about critical and creative abilities in the use of media and information. The competencies that, the competencies that comprise media literacy are based on certain understandings of the nature of media. Okay, let's tackle them one by one. First, all media are constructions. Media are not objective reflections of reality. They are productions. They're produced with specific purposes, following specific processes that are medium specific. For instance, in journalism, news reports are published following a systematic stage of data gathering, fact-checking, editing, and layout. To explain, let's watch this short video. Now, remember, at the end of the video, there is an assignment. You don't have to do that here. You may want to think about it and work on it and submit your work to your teachers, or just work on it for your own personal enrichment.
Media are constructions. What? Just like a house, media products are carefully built, using many different parts. A real house uses concrete, wood, and glass. Media products use words, illustrations, photography, sound, and video to create a representation of what is real. Take this picture. It's not a real bicycle, it's a representation. Media creators make conscious or unconscious choices about what to include, what to leave out, and how to present it all. They make artistic choices. They use different lettering styles, pictures, and sounds to send different messages to different audiences. The best media constructions are the ones that seem the most natural. So, to really understand media, you need to know how it is created, who created it, and for what reason. Hey, be media smart. Think about a web page, advertisement, or video, and identify all the parts in its construction. How are the parts put together? And what is the goal of the creator?
Okay, that's food for thought, right? So, if this were my class, I would have asked you to submit to answer that question, but we don't have that much time. If we had a one semester class, we would have answered that, and we would have also discussed the video. I thought that was interesting. I hope that is helpful. Okay, so that's the first principle about media, about the nature of the media. Now there are constructions. Now a second principle about, oops, sorry. I should not. Okay, there. The second understanding about the nature of media is that the media construct reality. The media provides observations and experiences of reality. These observations reflect the attitudes, interpretations, and conclusions of media producers. Their own construction reality is carried in the media and transmitted to us, the audience. We all have our view of the world, of the way the world is constructed, based on factors such as culture, our upbringing, our families, our unique experiences, our goals, and the like. It is important to realize that many of our notions of reality are influenced by what the media show us. For instance, we might want to wear the same brand of rubber shoes that our favorite basketball player is wearing, or we might want to wear the same dress that that the famous actress is wearing, or the t-shirt that the members of a boy band are wearing. It is up to us, the audience, to deconstruct the media. Deconstructing means taking the media apart and examining how and why they were constructed in a particular way. That way, we will not fall into the trap of getting under its influence unnecessarily or in a harmful way, like buying these things we don't need. Okay, so I've placed here a picture from UNICEF, of a child engaged in online learning. What reality is this picture telling us? Okay, so that's something we can discuss in later. Now, so let's see. Okay, now, third, I think
Different people will react differently to different media constructions. Although all humans share common traits, like the need for shelter, food, safety, and companionship, we are all individuals. We have our own likes and dislikes, our own style and aesthetic taste. Our cultural background, gender, age, and life experiences help shape our individual perceptions of reality. No two people are exactly the same. So it's not surprising that different people will find different meaning when exposed to the same media. Think of any television show, a website, or a video game. Now imagine the reaction of people with different points of view. Remember, media products are never complete until an audience sees it, hears it, or experiences it. We are all active participants in media, whether we like the message or not. Hey, be media smart.
So that's the third principle, right? This is the third understanding about the nature of media. Audiences negotiate meaning in media. Audiences are not passive, but are active consumers of the media. So it doesn't mean that what the advertisements say we will understand in the same way that the advertisers want us to understand it, right? So we, the audience, process media messages through our own experiences, through our own needs, our attitudes, our cultural background, and many other factors. This is to say that we negotiate meaning in different ways. Now let's look at the first principle. Media are commercial entities. We were already saying this also earlier. There are business enterprises. Media production is a business, and hence it is governed by the profit-making imperative. Television programs, for instance, must make a profit. This profit is measured in the terms of the size of the audiences. So they will, they must have a huge size of audiences, apparently 9 million, in the Western world. So they can be kept on air. If the number of audiences fall less than that, then they are terminated. They are removed from the air. These decisions are made by the business owners. And so the implications of this is, in practical terms, there is a relatively small number of individuals who decide what programs we're able to watch, what films we're able to watch, what films will be screened, what music will be recorded, what issues will be interpreted and will be reported and investigated. This slide shows, let me see. Okay.
Media have commercial implications.
Oh?
Media is generally intended to benefit you, the audience, and the people who make it. There's lots of money involved in media. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Media creators understand what their audience want and create content that appeals to those audiences. That helps divide people up into different groups based on interest. Media messages can then be tailored to those interests. Creators of websites, for instance, can track where you click and what you watch. That helps them create customized personal media experiences. Social media websites group users into communities of interest, making it easier for like-minded people to connect. Despite the amount of media that surround us, there are still a relatively small number of companies that control what we watch, read, and hear. There's a commercial reason for just about everything out there. So hey, be media smart. Think of an ad, online video, article, or website. Who is behind the message, and why are they communicating it?
Okay, there's another food for thought. I think my alarm is okay. So let me know if I've overshot my time. Okay. So a fourth principle is media are commercial entities. No, so to be able to understand the message of particular media or media message, it is important as media literate persons, we should know who is behind the message and why they are communicating it. Okay, now, so that's the fourth principle, the first understanding about media, which should guide us, in developing skills of media literacy skills. A fifth principle is, okay, I just wanted you to look at this as well. The world's largest media companies, these are the world's largest media companies. You are, of course, familiar with this. So Google, many of us use Google. And then it might be interesting, actually, I was thinking to find out if there are rich, wealthy Indonesians who are part owners of these gigantic media organizations. Okay, so the largest media companies are Google, $59 billion, Walt Disney, and so on and so forth. Okay, there. So now, a fifth principle about the media is that media have values and ideologies. Typical mainstream media represent the establishment. That is, they represent the existing social order. A typical American film or television series carries ideological messages and value systems, such as the proper role of women, the role of wealth in the good life. It's like the good life is defined as in terms of being wealthy. The virtues of consumerism, in other words, that happiness means being able to buy the latest products and so on. The meaning of success, like success is measured in terms of having a car and so on. So these kinds of thoughts, now we also call them values. These kind of thoughts you find in mainstream media. Let's explain this some more through this video.
Media have social and political implications. Media doesn't just sell products and services. It can also sell values, ideas, lifestyle choices, even political candidates. Media can help to raise awareness about environmental issues or the benefit of exercise and healthy eating. It can communicate to people what's acceptable and what's not, who's trustworthy and who isn't, and who deserves our attention.
Oh, sorry. Okay. My turn.
Strengths and weaknesses, and their own unique way of communicating.
Doctor, we still on number 0.5. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just repeat it, okay? It's just a minute.
Media have social and political implications. Media doesn't just sell products and services. It can also sell values, ideas, lifestyle choices, even political candidates. Media can help to raise awareness about environmental issues or the benefit of exercise and healthy eating. It can communicate to people what's acceptable and what's not, who's trustworthy and who isn't, and who deserves our attention this week. Media can also reinforce roles and stereotypes. In that way, media has a big influence on our perception of reality. Today, thanks to social media, people like you and me have a voice too. But just remember, there's still only a handful of media creators who control most of the media we consume. Make sure you're aware of the social and political messages that media is communicating. Hey, be media smart. Think about ads, articles, or websites that influence positive or negative social or political change.
Again, this is something to think about, okay? So when you encounter an advertisement, when you encounter message in a website or other articles, think about the values, the ideologies behind them. Okay, good. Now, so we move on. That's the fifth principle. Now we have just one more. Media have unique form and content. Each medium has its own grammar, so to speak, and codifies reality in unique ways. Thus, the live broadcast of an incident, such as, for instance, the hostage taking Hong Kong tourists in Manila in 2012, an incident create different impressions and messages from the story that appears. When it appears on print, it has a different. When it appears online, it has a different form. It carries a different message. It creates also different impressions. Let's see how this works. Let's see how this works.
Each medium has a unique artistic form. Internet, television, radio, and print each have their own strengths and weaknesses, and their own unique way of communicating reality. Those differences affect how stories are told, and the creative choices media creators make. Movies deliver the big experience. Newspapers are good for facts and figures. Television shows engage us minute by minute. Books and novels allow our imaginations to wander. And video games put us in charge of the action. The internet is immediate and highly interactive. Social media allows people to instantly share thoughts with others across the room or around the world. Understanding how each medium is artistically different will help you when you create media constructions of your own. Have fun out there, and hey, be media smart. Think of a message you want to communicate to a specific audience. Choose the media or combinations of media that will help get the best results.
There. So when as producers of media, this is something to think about. You should think about the best way to communicate a particular message, because we should remember that each medium has its own alphabet, so to speak, has its own form, has its own aesthetic principles. So if you want to communicate a message effectively using a particular medium, think of the characteristics of that medium. Okay, so those are 6 principles in media, 6 understandings of the nature of the media, which must remember when we are, which we must remember when we engage with the media. Being media literate means that you know these characteristics of the media. Being media literate means that you can apply this knowledge to understand, to use, and create media. Now, here is your challenge. challenge is to use this knowledge about the media. The next time you see as an advertisement, receive a text message, watch a TikTok video, or see a picture like this one. This picture, as I was saying earlier, was posted by UNICEF in its website. What is it saying? What is the message? Is it a credible message? How does this picture correspond with reality? Okay, what are we missing here? What does it cover? Okay, what piece of reality does it represent? What piece of reality does it exclude from this picture? Okay, and then see another picture from World Wildlife Fund. It says help save the laptop. This is what is in the small print. Your laptop needs help. Most of the world's laptops are made in the Yangtze River region in China. But the pressure of global demand has left the region's natural resources stretched and unable to cope. In partnership with the Chinese government, the World Wildlife Fund helped create a sustainable development model for the region, which is home to the iconic giant panda, as well as to some 480 million people. Together, the World Wildlife Fund is revitalizing an ecosystem that can support both people and nature. What do you see in this picture? What is the message? How is the message constructed? How is reality constructed in this picture? What values are represented in this picture? So we answer these questions on the basis of what we know about the nature of media. You may want to provide answers to these questions in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and let us know. You may also have questions or comments about what we have discussed so far. In the meantime, this ends my presentation. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Valdez. So, is there any question from you guys, or you want to answer the question from Dr. Valdez from the pictures above? Do you have any? Yeah, and then the first pictures, Doctor. Maybe the first one, the lady, the young lady. Oh, oh.
How do I go back there? There. Okay.
Yeah, the young lady who's smiling through through their phone, right? But we cannot see the phone in here because on the first slide, I think she smiled to the smartphone, and then the teacher is there.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. In the first slide.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pictures, guys. If you have the answer for the question from Dr. Valdez, you may turn on your mic and then answer it. Or if you have any comment, because this is a very interesting, Dr. Valdez, how you explain the characteristic of the media itself. I think the young student or the new student, because mostly who join with us is someone still in the beginning of their step into this university. So yeah, because as the first step into the communication studies, they have to know the characteristics of the media itself. Yeah, about you really explained the point, the whole point of the characteristics of the media. So any one of you, if you want to answer the question from Dr. Valdez, please you can raise your hand, or you just go through your chat box. Mostly students are very shy.
Yeah, that's the same in the Philippines. So, there. Okay, now I'm seeing the chat box. Okay, good. So if you have any comments and so on, you can, as Fritzky was saying, you can.
Yeah, you can drop in here through the chat box, or you can turn on your mic and then just have a direct conversation with Dr. Valdez, please. Anyone?
Ibu Fritzky, can they also write it in Bahasa?
Yes. I already explained in the first chat, my chat. You can chat in Bahasa also. Teman-teman boleh loh chat pakai bahasa Indonesia. Coba lihat. Yeah, I will try to translate it into English.
Yeah.
I try my best. Teman-teman boleh loh pakai bahasa Indonesia juga boleh. Kalau misalnya malu-malu pakai bahasa Inggris, coba lihat gambarnya itu. Pesan apa yang akan disampaikan dia, and then how they construct the message, why they try to construct like that, the smiling, the thumbs up. Anyone?
Yeah, maybe they can comment about whether uh, do we are all Indonesian young people, are they able to attend online classes in this way? You know, that they have smartphones and where they can attend classes and so on. Is this common in
Indonesia?
yeah? Does everyone have access to a smartphone where they can attend their classes?
I heard not all of us can have the access to get through the internet like this. Not every one of us can get the internet access like what he got in here. Sometimes they are live in the very rural area,
Yeah,
and then we don't have any.
yeah, you're right.
Sometimes sometimes they just can, and then the teacher just go through the one by one of their students' house.
Okay, yeah. That's also in the Philippines.
Mm.
But in the city, no, they don't have access to, even if they have phones, they are not smartphones where they can, where they have the software to be able to access the classes online. So what happens is we call them modules. So they print out, the teachers print the lessons and then they distribute them in the houses. Yeah. So this is what this picture is not saying.
Yeah. And also I heard because they learn everything through the smartphone, unfortunately, at that home, they only have one phone and then that's the parents' phone. And then the parents cannot go through their office because the phone is with the children. So that's also the quite problem, big problem for
Yeah.
although
Yeah.
they have the internet, but the economic problems is there.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. 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 So students, if you want to make a comment on that, what has been your experience doing online learning? Are you happy? Because this girl looks happy, right?
Ya,
Saying
oke
thumbs up.
teman-teman boleh loh. Kalau enggak turn on aja mic-nya pakai bahasa Indonesia, nanti saya coba untuk translatein ke bahasa Inggris boleh kok. Ayo loh, sudah dicarikan sumber dari luar negeri. Come on.
Okay. They're shy. I sent a copy um, of the presentation as a
Yes.
file.
Ya.
If they want, they can actually take a look at that. You know,
Yes, please.
a file. So, and then, are you their teacher, Fritzky? So maybe in your lessons you can take this up with them. As you said, these are basic things for students of mass communication to know, right?
Yeah.
It's important it's important to have this knowledge of the nature of the mass media as soon as we take up communication as students, not as a discipline. So yeah.
Especially when you say the media is what is it? I forgot which point, but sometimes I think the point when you say everyone is watching us, like surveillance marketing, also it happens. So once you click into one promoted or advertisement, and then the bubbling it will comes to you, and then they will framing you into something that and then you get trapped into that market surveillance marketing.
Yeah, they gather information about you and then they start selling you all kinds of things that you don't need. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, so let's hear from the students. So it might take time now. Maybe next. I mean, maybe this is a lot to digest, right? So, but if you have questions that you might want to clarify, I'll be happy to respond to them. But I'm sure Ibu Fritzky would be able to respond to them as well if can't ask them now, but you'll ask them at a later time. And then maybe they can also ask it Ibu next time, right? They can prepare the
Yeah.
questions and ask it on next Monday. We can devote the first part of the lecture on
Sure,
to
sure.
that
Can
will
that
be
too. But anyone of you, halo, pengen nggak tanya langsung atau mau minggu depan masih malu-malu mau mencerna dulu apa yang dikatakan oleh Dr. Valdez atau mau minggu depan aja nanyanya? Komen aja juga nggak apa-apa. Anyone? We
Ibu
have
Fitz, what
like
is this? Teman-teman boleh.
teman-teman. Teman-teman is friends or guys.
Okay. What does it
Oh,
mean? Teman-teman boleh atau menggunakan bahasa Indonesia?
yeah, you can use
They can use, yeah,
boleh. You can use bahasa.
they can use bahasa.
There is attendance form. There's a question asking why media have an ideology.
Yeah. Why does media have an ideology?
That's a question for you in
Yeah,
attendance form.
yeah. In
Okay.
attendance.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I cannot see it also. So Mbak Sri help us with read the question in the attendance form. They're asking why
There is-
media have an ideology.
Yeah. It is in the attendance form or something. Anyway, why do media have an ideology? We're saying that media are owned, right, by business enterprises or persons and so on. So they have a message to make. So media are profit enterprises, right? And they're one because they're owned by certain people in most cases. If they're not owned by certain private persons, they're owned by the state. In some countries, it's the state, in other words, the government, which runs the media. And so the media are like in China, we have state media, but we also have private media there. So so these media become mouthpieces of the persons who own them and own, or persons or institutions who own them. And also because media are constructions of reality. Remember the first principle? Media are constructions. They're not the whole reality. By being able to construct reality, media is able to represent certain values. For instance, this picture from UNICEF, what value does it represent? What social value does it represent? To my mind, the social value or the ideology that it represents is that learning is important. Even in a pandemic, it is important to learn. Education is important. And that the fact that this girl is continuing to learn during the pandemic using what's that, ICT technology, in other words, she is going through the lengths, she's going through the difficulties of having to learn, difficulties of having to connect to her class via media. The fact that she's doing that means to me that she values education. So this picture tells us that education is important, tells us that education is important to this girl, and most probably, of course, this to her family, because the family allows her to attend her lessons even during the pandemic and even during just at home, right? So education is a value. The importance that we attach to education is a social value, and this picture represents that value. So you can look at ideology as value. There is another one here. Apakah
Yes, yes. We still have a good question from Muhammad Rehan Nasir Ismail. Because maybe the title for this lecture is talking click wisely, critically, and then creatively. And then he asking about what is the best way to use media, therefore. Because we know the media are constructed and then they surveillance us, and then what we gonna do about this? What is the best way to use the media wisely? How?
Okay, good. I suppose you'll have to remember all the 6 principles that we're talking about. Before you click, then bear in mind that you are looking at a piece of reality, not the whole thing. Bear in mind that what you're looking is just a construction and not the real thing. So bear in mind the understandings, the principles of the media that we talk about in the lecture, and that would be the best way of engaging yourself in media, right? So before you click, in other words, before you choose a particular source, you choose a particular website for if you have a question about vaccines, about how to protect yourself from coronavirus, about online learning, and so on. And you come and your search yields so many sources, so many websites. Then choose the one which you think would be most objective, most intelligent, most credible, on the basis of, you make your choice on the basis of the principles of the media that we discussed in this session. So there's no best way. We have to think critically, right? We have to think, we have to use our critical functions in judging when we should click, in other words, when we should choose a particular site, that's what you do, right? When you search for something, Google turns up a lot of sources and then you click, right? So before you click, then bear in mind all of these principles. But of course, maybe you have to click before you knowing the answers to this, to these principles, or before getting to have an explanation about these principles. So you can click, and then if you think that the source is not a credible one, that it might be carrying this information, then you click, you go back to the source, come back to the list and click again, right? So it's about being aware, being aware of this understandings of the nature of the media, being aware of the nature of the media before clicking. That's what we mean by clicking wisely or intelligently, clicking critically, and then clicking creatively. We'll explain that more anyway next time. Maybe it will be a good idea next time to review the principles. So I'll get feedback from you anyway and the others. Okay, noted. She says. Okay. Anyway, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. May I try to translate in bahasa first, Dr. Valdez? Oke. Jadi teman-teman, kata Dr. Valdez, intinya tuh kalian aware dengan apa yang kalian kalian lihat sumbernya gitu. Jadi sebelum ngeklik gitu, sebelum judging orang gitu ya, itu kalian harus betul-betul untuk ngelihat sumbernya. Jadi ngelihat dulu, jangan sembarangan klik-klik aja, apalagi main share-share aja gitu ya, apalagi nge-share. Tapi fokusnya Dr. Valdez lebih ke sebelum ngeklik itu pahamin dulu ini tadi poin-poin dari Dr. Valdez. Jadi jangan langsung diterima mentah-mentah, kalian harus tetap berpikir kreatif, berpikir kritikal gitu, dan tadi bijak untuk ngeklik itu tadi. Jadi begitu ngelihat, jangan langsung ditelan mentah-mentah. Ini kita harus ngelihat sumbernya siapa, kenapa muncul seperti itu, gitu loh. Okay, thank you, Dr. Valdez. Actually, we still have a lot of question in here. Should we? Okay, another question came from Aulia Amal Hanwita.
I don't see it in chat box.
Yeah, me too, because Mbak Sri saw it into the attendance form.
I see. Okay.
I also cannot see it, but so Mbak Sri just text me into the WhatsApp directly, and then just copy into.
Actually, probably my WhatsApp. I have my WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Okay,
See,
good.
okay, from Aulia Amal Hanwita, she asking about the example and what about the basic literacy? What is basic literacy and the example about it, Doctor? Can you explain more about that?
Okay. So the question is about basic.
Yeah,
Basic.
basic literacy and then the example about it.
Example about basic literacy.
Mm.
Okay. Uh-huh. What's the question is what is basic literacy?
Yeah,
Let
what is
me,
basic literacy?
um, okay. It's this, right? See, I just move this. Um, basic literacy, this one, is that you mean? Is that what you mean? The basic literacy, basic
Mhm.
literacies, it's in plural here because there are at least three, right? It's the ability to read, the ability to write, and then the ability to count, or perform simple arithmetic tasks. Those are the basic literacies. These are the basic skills that we should have to be able to become literate, to be called a literate person. That's the only thing that's meant here. These are the basic skills, no, that we need uh, to be called a literate person. In other words, you are literate if you can read, if you can write, and if you can read, perform simple arithmetic tasks. There are many people who are illiterate, right? So those who are not, the antonym, the opposite of literate is illiterate. Those who are not literate or those who are illiterate, they do not have the ability, they cannot read. So can I write that? So the opposite is illiterate. Illiterate. Those who are illiterate cannot read, cannot write, cannot count. Yeah. Okay. You need to be literate to read newspaper, right? To read your screen in computer, your computer, to be able to access Google or the information in Google. So we call this basic literacies because they're basic, they're foundational. You have to be able to read, to write, to attend your classes. And we learn this as school children, right? These are now called the sprint literacies. Okay, so does that answer the question, Ibu Fritz? I hope, right?
Yes. Actually, it's easy. So let me translate in bahasa first, Mbak Aulia. Tapi kalau misalnya kurang jelas, nanti bisa tanya langsung lagi ke Dokter Valdez ya. Intinya tadi yaitu tadi kalau basic literasi itu kemampuan orang untuk bisa baca, untuk bisa nulis dan menggunakan aritmatika ini ya tugas-tugas. Kalau bisa pakai internet itu sebetulnya udah dibilang literate lah orang yang bisa menggunakan itu. Kalau nggak bisa namanya illiterate, walaupun kalau kita kayaknya ngomongnya kayak buta huruf gitu, itu namanya illiterate gitu sih Mbak. Tapi apakah ini pertanyaan dari Mbak Aulia? Kalau enggak nanti bisa tanya langsung sama Dokter Valdez lagi ya. Itu atau bukan Mbak Aulia? Boleh lagi nanti untuk ditanya ya. Alright, Dokter Valdez. Mbak Aulia sudah belum? Mbak Aulia? Mbak Aulia, is it clear for you? Or you still have any question? Mostly it's like the in the gold age, yeah, who still like confusing about using the new media in here, Dr. Valdez.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get that, Fritsky. What is it?
Someone who more than like 60 years old, and then they still have a problem by using this new media, because I have my personal experience. I have a parents, and then she didn't know how to use the shopping online, and then she asked me how to put how to buy, and then how to pay, and then how to put the address. Is it
Yeah.
something that include into the illiterate literacy?
No.
Don't know. Oh,
Yeah, they're probably these are now what we call media information literacy, right? We'll discuss it next time. So we're just talking now about media literacy, being media literate. So to be media literate means that you should understand the 6 principles of the nature of media, right? Now, you're talking about digital literacy. No?
Oh, bukan ternyata Mbak Aulia, penjelasan saya salah. Jadi penjelasannya memang balik lagi ke sini, contoh yang saya kasih tadi salah ya. Jadi nanti kita diskusinya minggu depan tentang itu, karena yang tadi saya jelasin contohnya lebih ke digital literacy, bukan basic literacy.
Okay. Next week we'll discuss digital literacies. So what we need now are, if you notice this, in present day society, people need more than the basic literacies. Okay, need something more than that. So we need digital literacy, for instance. We need computer literacy and so on. So we'll discuss it next time though. Okay? So, but even to be able to do that, you have to be able to read. Okay, to be these digital literacies are founded on the basic literacies.
Oh, okay, Dr. Valdez, do you have any suggestion, the article or something that the student can read first before we meet into to join the class for next week?
Okay.
Do you have
yeah.
No, okay.
I'll send you. Good. So, but that's interesting. Anyway, we'll discuss that next time, digital literacies. We discussed now only half of the concept of media and information literacy, right? So this is media literacy. Next week we will discuss information. Remember, this is about media and information literacy. So we just discussed media literacy. Next week we will discuss information literacy. And then we will discuss also the combination of media and information literacy. I also want to emphasize that this is usually a 1 semester course, right? And we're doing it only in two sessions. So I'll just take care of the basics, no? And if you have, and I'll be happy to discuss the questions you might have, okay? And then I'll send you materials that you can read about it.
Yeah, that's will be great.
Yeah.
I think that's all the question from the student for this week. But I hope after this meeting and then the material that you gave to us, and then we can have a fruitful discussion for the next meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Look forward to that as well. Yeah. So thanks so much.
Okay, guys, thank you so much, Dr. Valdez, for giving us the very informative and interesting presentation today. We are glad that you can share with us and then share your insight on the media information literacy. And then thank you again for Dr. Maria and also Mbak Sri, who already helpful to do this discussion. Okay, students, thank you so much for joining with us. We really appreciate you being here, and then we can meet again next week at the same time, and then I hope we can get more discussion, and then you can use this opportunity to know more in the global perspective about the media and information literacy. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your day.
Bye.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Valdez. See you next week.
Yeah. See you next week. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Pitsky. Thank you.